Today we're going to do a little cozy chair flow. So what you'll need is a chair, one that doesn't have rollers, and some sort of belt or long piece of fabric. I grabbed one from my robe, so I strongly recommend, again, one that's got some length to it. If you don't have a robe, let me suggest asking for that at your next holiday or birthday, because robes are great. But anyways, go ahead and put pause, grab yourself a chair and a long piece of fabric, and we'll get started when you come back. So we're gonna start today in a personal favorite of mine, which I call legs up the chair. Now, those of you who do yoga regularly know there's a pose called legs up the wall, which is exactly what it sounds, but I actually like this one even better. So that's how we're gonna start today. So go ahead and get your chair close. Now here's a note, if you're tall, I was gonna say if you're taller than me, but that's like everyone, sometimes it can help to put like a blanket or something else on top to give yourself a little bit more space. So you can kind of experiment with that. Again, since you're at home, you can just push pause and get all that figured out. But what you're gonna do, just like legs up the wall, you're gonna scoot nice and close to your chair, and you wanna be able to rest here. So right now I have the entire backside of the bottom part of my legs resting on the chair. And so your job here is very straightforward. You're gonna close your eyes, and you're gonna breathe. So we'll start the way we normally do in the sense of a check-in. And let's do the reclined bound angle hand position. So one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Just really notice those gentle movements of the breath. Now, if you're noticing a lot of movement in your chest, I invite you to intentionally start to bring breath lower. So thinking about breathing all the way into the belly, seeing if you can keep the chest a little bit quieter. And if you can't keep the chest quiet, that's totally okay. Just focus on full deep breaths, slowing them down, deepening them each time. Now, after you've had a chance to intentionally slow down the breath, start to check in with what's going on in the mind. And again, we're doing a gentle observation. We're not engaging in the thoughts or trying to act on them in any way. Just noticing, like they're clouds floating in and out of the mind. Noticing the quality. If there's many thoughts or just a single one that repeats. If your mind feels scattered or focused or maybe even kind of numb, whatever it is, just notice. Allow yourself to expand your awareness to the rest of your physical body. Noticing how you feel from head to toe. Noticing any emotions that are present right now. Knowing whatever is present is okay. It's just fine. Don't need to change it. You don't need to shift anything right now. Just notice. Now, if this is position, this legs up the chair is really what you need right now, please stay here. We're going to spend a little bit more time here, but I'm going to grab the belt And from here, I'm going to put it around my right foot. So I can hold this as close as I need to, and you don't need to fully lengthen or straighten this leg. You can just do it makes sense. We're just going to do a little bend and straighten. And I invite you not to care about your form here. So don't worry if you're turning out, if it's neutral from the hip, whatever. Just bend and straighten. And then from here, super gentle, just a little windshield wiper forward, side to side, not forward and back right now. So side to side, again, really gentle. We're not looking for deep stretching here. We're just getting a little bit of supported movement in the hip. And maybe even kind of circling, again, with that support, you're holding on here. And then ever so gently forward and back. And again, you might keep a bend in your leg or straight, whatever feels good. Super gentle here. Go ahead and set that leg down. Grab onto your other foot with your belt or fabric. And this time I invite you, so we did kind of structured on the other side, just go ahead and play around. So a little bend and straighten, forward, back, side to side circle. Just let yourself kind of explore here what's going on your hip. A little freestyle. So don't worry again what it looks like, or if you're trying to get to a destination, just kind of hang out and play around with a gentle range of motion in the hip. Again, considering the different places, forward, back, side to side, circles, bend and straighten. And now we're going to go ahead and put both feet up here. So you can have as much of a bend in your knee as you need and an equal grasp, and I encourage you to hold on with both hands. You can stack the hands or hold one in each, whatever makes sense. We're just going to go side to side here. Forward, back. So you can just really gentle, adding some movements. And then go ahead and bend your legs and come to either the right or left side of your chair. Either is fine. Okay, for the next part, we're going to use the chair a little bit differently. So go ahead and come to sit at the very edge of the chair. Bring your feet hip width apart or a little bit wider. Actually, bring them wider. And go ahead and fold forward, a little ragdoll here. You can grab your opposite elbow or not. And then slowly roll up. So we're just going to do a little bit of forward fold, kind of ragdoll here. Slowly roll up. Now again, make it your own. If you just want to hang out down there, hang out down there. Rolling up. Just a couple more times, nice and easy. Rolling up one more time. Folding forward. And rolling up. From here, sitting up nice and tall, we're just going to do a little twist. So grabbing onto the chair. If your chair doesn't have this, kind of figure out what makes sense for you, but just a nice gentle twist, using, in this case, the right hand to just give you a little bit more leverage. Take a deep breath in, lift your heart. Exhale, twist just a little deeper. And release, second side. So same thing. Again, just finding what makes sense for you. Adding a little bit of leverage, so not a huge twist here. Long spine, gentle, twisting with every breath out. And go ahead and come back to the center. So from here, we're going to play around with the idea of chair pose. So we have a chair, but we're also going to play around with chair. So what I want you to do first here is get into a chair pose with the chair. So the legs come together, big toes are right next to each other, thighs gently touching, pull the belly in, and you're going to lean forward, reach the arms up. So notice there's a lot of ease here when the chair is supporting you. There certainly still is effort. Your arms are reaching, but just kind of play around with your shoulder position. See if you can find a little bit more comfortable open place. Gently pull the shoulder blades together. Maybe let's cactus the arms here, get a little openness. Keep that same openness as you reach forward. So from here, I want you to shift your weight into your feet, find an effort chair pose, but see if you can find a little more of that ease here. So this is a pose we associate with being work. See if you can find a little bit of that sense of ease and rest that you do while actually seated. From here, we're going to release, come back to the chair, and we're going to do the opposite. Sitting in the chair, reaching the arms up, I want to see if you can add some effort. So squeeze the legs together, belly button pulls up and in, arms really active, fingers active, squeezing your glutes. So find some activity here in the seated version. And see if you can transfer that immediately to seated. Find some ease, and then come back to your chair. Let's try that one more time. Rising up, again, just kind of playing around with different dynamics in the body, and come to a seat. Release your arms. So we're going to do some variations of poses, again, that you already are familiar with, but we're going to use the chair. So we're going to do a very elevated, different version of child's pose, very, very different. Bring your hands to the chair. Go ahead and drop your torso down towards the earth. And you'll notice a lot more opening in the shoulder and the chest here. Maybe you want to come to extended child's pose, so really wide in the legs. And breathe. Let your chest soften towards the earth. We're going to rise up, and you're going to take this right hand and bring it to where your left hand was, and just get a nice stretch on the side body. This left hand can kind of hang out back here. And again, just let yourself soften. Coming back up to the center, other side. So the left hand comes to the side of the chair, softening down. Feeling really good in the side body. From here, let's do one more time in the center. So hands are shoulder width apart. Let the chest and the forehead soften towards the earth. And go ahead and rise up. From here, moving on to a little supported standing poses. So we're going to do a version of warrior that uses the chair. So this one might take a little negotiation and figuring out, but we have plenty of time to do that in our home practice here. So we're going to find that warrior two position. So the toes will be pointing this direction, the front toes, back toes to the side of the mat, but you want to stay on your chair. So notice how much openness you might feel in your hips here, and then reach your arms out nice and long. So front hand reaches forward, back hand reaches back, nice big stretch. From here, reaching up and back into your peaceful or reverse warrior, and then into a little gentle side angle. So go ahead, we're gonna take a total of 10 breaths here. And you get to decide. We've done 3 poses there already, but you might flow between those. You might stay in a particular one that feels good. Just allow yourself to do what makes sense for you. You might go into extended child's pose and really see if you can press into both feet, even with the chair. Now again, you might need to negotiate depending on what's happening, the size of your chair, all that kind of thing. But again, just play around here with what feels good. I like this version of Warrior 2 because it helps me get more of that hip opening sensation from it. A lot of times when we're doing the standing version without support, it can be easy to lose touch with that. So this is a nice way to reconnect. Let's take 2 more breaths. Again, whatever version you might be holding, whatever makes sense for you. And then we'll simply switch to the other side, which is nice because we're right here. So again, do what makes sense for you. Finding your big stance. So again, wanting to feel the openness in the hips. And it's, again, a little negotiation, but try to get your shoulders as much over your hips as you can. Reach the arms out. So you can find some openness in the chest. I notice I just find so much openness when I can be supported. So allow that to help you find a new place in Warrior 2 that you maybe don't normally go or you don't normally experience. And again, flowing through. Going to peaceful or extended warrior, and going to side angle, and then 10 more breaths of just flowing through. So you might stay in Warrior 2. This might be a nice place for you to hang out. You might move through other poses here. Again, it's up to you. Let your body go where it wants to go. Move when it wants to move. Keep breathing the whole time. Deep breaths in, complete breaths out. Again, sometimes it can be nice to kind of explore, does it feel good to reach to the floor? Or if it doesn't, come back up. Again, do what makes sense for you. Notice your neck. Breath flowing the whole time. Really intentional hands too. This is a nice time to think about what's going on in the arms and the hands with that support of the legs. Let's do 2 more breaths. Again, wherever you're at is totally fine. And go ahead and release. So we're also going to do a little bit of another ragdoll version. This time we're going to be really far out though. So from here, again, letting your head hang, this time grabbing your hands, reaching up to the sky. So if you can reach your knuckles up a little higher, opening up the chest, pull your shoulder blades towards your hips, reach the knuckles to the sky. So keep with that energy of pulling the shoulder blades down, knuckles up, kind of negotiating. Let your head be heavy. Then go ahead and rise up. If you know me, you know I love a little boat pose. So we're going to play around with boat pose in the chair. I'm going to turn this so you can see a little different angle. So you're going to lean back in your chair. Depending on your chair, you might have parts of your back are touching or not. And you're going to bring one knee up, set it down, a little can here. Other knee up, set it down. So you can stay with that, alternating legs. That's a nice place to be in kind of a active yet gentle version of boat. Otherwise, both legs come up. Now we're balancing. We're pulling the belly in, lifting the heart, welcoming the breath in, letting it go as you exhale. You might release your hands or not. There's no wrong here. Take a full breath in, a complete breath out, and release. From here, go ahead and come to a standing position. You're going to flip your chair around so you can go to the back of your chair. Now again, your chair might not have a back, you just modify as it makes sense for you. We're going to stretch out the back. So similar to what we did in our child's pose, hands on top of the chair, folding forward, getting more in the hamstrings this time. Let the chest soften towards the earth, back of the neck is long. Full breath in, complete breath out. 2 more times, just like that. Let your toes spread out nice and wide. And go ahead and release. From here, go ahead and switch your chair around. And you can decide, you might want to just let it be as it is, or you might decide to use your belt. No wrong, just do what makes sense for you. So go ahead and put your right foot on the chair. You can use your belt or not. So you can just use this as a chance. You might just decide to do a nice forward fold, little hamstring stretch. That can be great. You might hang out there, that feels good. Otherwise, go ahead and hold on, and you're gonna lift the leg up, set it down, folding forward. So it's like a little half split and a little big toe pose flow. So lift up, fold forward. Again, you don't have to do the lifting if that's not your jam today. Lifting up and forward. One more time. Lift up. This time we're going to hold. If you want, you can bring the leg out to the side. You don't need to. Bring it back to the center and release. You can go ahead and unlasso. From here, we're just going to bend in. So it's sort of, in a way, it's like a crescent lunge, I suppose, with your foot on the chair. Folding forward. It's not a fold, it's a bend in the front leg, pressing the hips forward. Sometimes I say things that are not exactly what the movement is, but that's why I'm doing it with you. Join me in doing this. That's what we're doing. One more time. This time we're going to hold it forward. So find a stretch here, especially in the back leg. If you need more, you can just step that leg back. Pull your belly in, squeeze your left glute a little, see if that can open some stuff up. And go ahead and release. Second side. So again, you can choose to do this part or not. That's up to you. So first we'll start with, again, a little bit of a little forward fold. Now, if this is too intense in your hamstring, you can always add a bend to the knee. Always available to you. And then from here, we're gonna flow through those two. So go ahead, lifting the leg up and down. Now, if you want, you can use more of your abdominal muscles to do the lifting, or you can really focus on the hands. And it's the abdominals and the hip flexors that lift the leg, but you might rely evenly on them. That's what I'm doing, a little even balance between the arms doing the lifting and the hip flexors and abs. This time we're going to stay up and hold. And then if you want, you can go out to the side or you can stay forward. A little balance challenge here. Hand on the hip. Take a deep breath in. Bring the leg forward. Release, and let's fold for a moment. Take off the belt and just get a little bit more seated. A little forward fold here. And go ahead and rise up. We're going to do an elevated bridge. This is perhaps one of my favorite moves to really articulate and move through the spine, and it can feel really good. But you want to make sure that your feet are firmly on the chair. This is not a place for instability. So if your chair isn't great for this, go ahead and grab a better space, maybe putting your feet on the sofa or whatever might make sense. So go ahead and you're going to land with your feet on top of the chair. So it'll be your heels. That's totally okay. They're going to shift. Just like regular bridge, they're hip width apart. And go ahead and press into your feet until you rise up into this really tall bridge pose. From here, softening down first in the chest. Take your time articulating through the spine. This actually comes from the Pilates Reformer, but it's like such a wonderful version of bridge. I wanted to share it with you here today. Go ahead and press the hips up again. And again, finding a bridge pose, you might hang out here if that feels good to you. But what I'm really looking for is that articulation in the spine, bringing them down one vertebrae at the time. The hips land last. Move through that a few more times on your own pace. You might take longer. I don't encourage you to move any faster here. So keep the glutes engaged. That will help you find a little bit more space in the spine. And on this last one, see if you can articulate each vertebrae. So we tend to have these areas where we're like, yep, big chunk of bones. So certainly that's going to happen, but I want you to take a little bit more time. And release. Woo, hamstrings, right? So go ahead. Nice thing, we have this little belt. We're going to go ahead and just kind of give that a little stretch. Just like we did earlier, but maybe a little bit more because we're nice and warmed up. Go ahead and release, second side. Again, whatever makes sense, whatever feels good here. And release. Certainly if there are more things you want to do, you can press pause and do those things. But otherwise, we're going to wiggle ourselves a little bit closer here. And we're going to end today as we began. So very non-traditional yoga practice in these ways, I suppose, with our legs on the chair. So once you're here, think of this as your supported Shavasana today. So allow yourself to soften with this support. So noticing the points of contact with your body in the chair. Let your feet, ankles and calves relax. The back of your knees. Notice the points of contact with your upper body, noticing your hips, your back, shoulders, head, your arms, just noticing all the points of contact on the floor. Let all of those spots soften. Imagine all of those places were melting into the surface that they're resting on. When you catch yourself thinking, notice that. No judgment, you're human. It'll happen. Just come back to the sense of softening, melting into the surface that their body is touching. I'm going to take 5 more breaths here, and I invite you to get that sense of release and relaxation even a little bit more with every exhale. Take one more deep breath in, a complete breath out. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Give them a squeeze. Roll to your right side. Take a moment here. And again, the symbolic pose of renewal and rebirth. And when you're ready, pressing up to a seated position. Hands to heart center. I hope you enjoyed your cozy chair practice. Namaste. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.